Hello there, citizens. Before I go take my long bridge walk, I wanted to read one more segment, read a few pages of Symphony Sam. My God, I can't believe this. What a day. I need to read a little bit of The Great Gatsby, not Symphony Sam. Symphony Sam's not a book yet. And it'll only be a coloring book. You know, I was at the airport and I saw a kiosk, and it had a bunch of things that were sitting on it, and all I could see at this airport kiosk just a little bit ago was Symphony Sam coloring book and Symphony Sam videos and a little pamphlet for Symphony Sam musical instruments. God, man, Symphony Sam, it could really do some pretty fun things. I mean, a Symphony Sam instrument line, you know, tubas and trumpets and clarinets, and they don't have to be particularly special. They could be really simple things. I mean, and not, you know, a good quality, but literally something that is the beginner instrument that can be used and passed down, and I don't know, almost disposable, actually almost disposable. Something that is affordable, incredibly affordable, and that you can possibly make something that is that you can throw away or abuse and drop and not have to, you know, lament terribly over. I mean, of course, take care of it, but something happened to it. But the whole idea of making musical instruments accessible, you know, and somebody not having to mortgage their house on something that might be used for 5 years or a year and thrown away. It's a thought, you know, something that's very accessible. Symphony Sam, I think, should have a line of accessible instruments that are pretty inexpensive and yet enough of a quality that you can get a decent sound, and then translate that into other instruments as you get older. It's a wonderful transition instrument. Its sole purpose is to get people to play music with Symphony Sam, the television shows. They can pull out their little instruments and whatever, and they can play along with the tunes that we're doing. A little Symphony Sam orchestra, where they can pull out their instruments and play. What do you think? Is that crazy? I don't know. Yeah, I like the idea. Anyway, what was I doing? Oh, I was going to read some Great Gatsby. Yes. Okay, so here we go. Great Gatsby, we are starting on page 105. This is the transition from James Gatz to Jay Gatsby and his mentor and transition enabler, Dan Cody. Let's see here. Okay. An instinct toward his future glory had led him some months before to the small Lutheran college of St. Olaf in southern Minnesota. He stayed there 2 weeks, dismayed at its ferocious indifference to the drums of his destiny, to destiny itself, and despising the janitor's work with which he was to pay his way through. Then he drifted back to Lake Superior, and he was still searching for something to do on that day that Dan Cody's yacht dropped anchor in the shallows along shore. Cody was 50 years old then, a product of the Nevada silver fields, of the Yukon, of every rush for metal since '75. The transactions in Montana copper that made him many times a millionaire found him physically robust, but on the verge of soft-mindedness, and suspecting this, an infinite number of women tried to separate him from his money. The none too savory ramifications by which Ella Kay, the newspaper woman, played Madame de Maintenon to his weakness and sent him to sea in a yacht were common knowledge to the turgid journalism of 1902. He had been coasting along all too hospitable shores for 5 years when he turned up as James Gatz's destiny in Little Girl Bay. To young Gatz, resting on his oars and looking up at the railed deck, that yacht represented all the beauty and glamour in the world. I suppose he smiled at Cody. He had probably discovered that people liked him when he smiled. At any rate, Cody asked him a few questions. One of them elicited the brand new name. and found that he was quick and extravagantly ambitious. A few days later, he took him to Duluth and bought him a blue coat, 6 pairs of white duck trousers, and a yachting cap. And when the Tuolumne left for the West Indies and the Barbary Coast, Gatsby left too. He was employed in a vague personal capacity. While he remained with Cody, he was in turn steward, mate, skipper, secretary, and even jailer. For Dan Cody sober knew what lavish doings Dan Cody drunk might soon be about, and he provided for such contingency by reposing more and more trust in Gatsby. The arrangement lasted 5 years, during which the boat went 3 times around the continent. It might have lasted indefinitely, except for the fact that Ella Kay came on board one night in Boston, and a week later Dan Cody inhospitably died. I remember the portrait of him up in Gatsby's bedroom, a gray, florid man with a hard, empty face, the pioneer debauchee who, during one phase of American life, brought back to the eastern seaboard a savage violence of the frontier brothel and saloon. It was indirectly due to Cody that Gatsby drank so little. Sometimes, in the course of gay parties, women used to rub champagne into his hair. For himself, he formed the habit of letting liquor alone. And it was from Cody that he inherited money, a legacy of $25,000. He didn't get it. He never understood the legal device that was used against him, but what remained of the millions went intact to Ella Kay. He was left with his singularly appropriate education. The vague contour of Jay Gatsby had filled out to the substantiality of a man. I'm going to stop there. Have a good day, everybody.